Welcome, everybody. I'm Coach Mark Hart with System Basketball. Tonight I have joining me the head coach of the West Virginia State women's basketball team, Charles Marshall. How you doing this evening, Coach?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me, Coach.
Um, you've probably listened and heard some of these, so we're going to talk a little system tonight and then dive into some West Virginia basketball, West Virginia State basketball, what you've been up to during COVID, how you tried to keep the ladies together, and all your recruiting efforts must be difficult during this time.
It has, and we've had some conversations, so you kind of know what I've been going through.
Yeah. So Coach, can you tell us how you got into coaching college basketball?
Yeah, man. It's I think the way I got in it has been has been very, very unique in the sense of I was able to get in as soon as I graduated from college, from playing college ball, and after I got my degree, I was able to hop on with one of my guys who is still uh, 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 someone who I looked up to, I still look up to, and was able to get on with his program at the university that at the university that I graduated from. So it was kind of fortunate that I was able to hop right in and start coaching. And that was at Berea College. Was able to work for at the time head coach Bunky Harkero, who is now at Sacramento State. He gave me an opportunity to work with him, and at that time it was NAIA level. It was just a part-time job, and was able to kind of get my feet wet. Again, the reason why I say it was kind of unique is because I was only able to do it for 1 year because it didn't pay a whole lot, and I had to go get a real job. Kind of funny story with that is I was able to. I thought I was going to be able to continue coaching because I was able to get a job in admissions at Berea College. So I was like, man, yeah, I'll still be able to help you out. But the admissions job didn't want me coaching, so I had to pick. And of course, I picked the one that paid a little bit more money. I had a family at the time, and I was married, and I had a daughter, so I had to make some money. So that's kind of how I got started in the coaching.
You're a little bit different than the other college coaches I've had. They've gone to the system, and by my talks with you, getting to know you a little bit offline here and through the clinics and stuff, you've been system day one college coaching, isn't that correct?
I have.
That's all you've done.
From a coaching standpoint, that's all I've done. I think I've been fortunate because I've been with probably one of the in my opinion, one of the best system coaches in the business. So I've been able to kind of learn and mold myself after him.
So before West Virginia State, you took over Berea from Coach?
No, I did not. And that's why, again, I say my story is kind of unique on how I've been able to stay in the business of coaching. Once, like I said, I was able to coach for him for 1 year at Berea. Then I got out of it, and when I say I was out of it, I was out of coaching for some time before I was able to get back into it. And I didn't get back into it until he actually he left. He ended up leaving Berea, and I'm talking about Bunky Harkero. He ended up leaving Berea and took a Division II job in West Virginia called Glenville State. And when he took that job, he was there for a year, or I think it was a year, and then ended up I was at that point I was kind of in between jobs. It was kind of right at the height of the recession when everything was kind of going bad and people was losing their jobs left and right. And this was in like '08. I was out of work for a a couple years because I had got laid off, and I was actually working in the automotive industry at the time. Still always had the coaching itch. I was always kind of staying in the mix, just helping out local high school teams on different little programs, but not really coaching. And like I said, at the time I was laid off, didn't have a job. Thankfully, my wife, who still holds me down today, had a great job. She was a nurse, and we was living in Atlanta at the time. And he called me up, and you know, we had stayed in contact. And he said, "Man, I'm down here at Glenville. I'm looking for an assistant coach. Would you be interested?" And yeah, you know, I definitely was. I didn't have anything better to do at the time because I was out of work. So my dilemma with that was it didn't pay a whole lot. Again, it still didn't really pay a whole lot. So it didn't make sense for my wife, and at the time we had 3 kids at this time. It didn't make sense for my wife to leave her good job for me to go down and work with him at Glenville. So I talked it over with my wife and family, and she was like, "Man, go for it. This is something you always talked about doing." And I got her blessing. We prayed on it, and I took a chance and went down and worked and got to work with him again. So ended up being there with him at Glenville for 3 years. And first, as soon as I got down there, and I still give him a hard time to this day, because when we was at Berea, we won a championship, the conference championship, when I worked with him for 1 year at Berea. He had never won then, and I always talk about I'm always a winner. You know, I've won at everything I've ever done. So as soon as I got down there and was on staff for that first year, we won the conference. So I still give him a hard time to this day. That, man, you know, until I got down here, you wasn't winning anything. So, but that's how I ended up at Glenville. Worked there for 3 years. And again, like I said, this kind of goes back to my unique, how I got into it, and with it being unique, ended up stepping away again. So because it just didn't make sense to be away from my family, and the grind and the work that it took. And again, you know, if it wasn't for Coach Harkero, and I look up to him like he's like family, like my brother. And some of the stuff that he let me get away with as being an assistant, and with my family being in Georgia, in Atlanta at the time, just some of the stuff he let me get away with, you know, another coach wouldn't have, you know, it probably wouldn't have happened. Just the freedom and you know, the things he allowed me to do. But it worked, but I had to step away again because it was just a strain. I was missing my kids, missing my wife, and you know, it was tough on the family. So I ended up going back to Georgia and getting another job. It wasn't in coaching, and just got a real job is what I like to call it. And then come to find out the next year, he ends up getting a Division I job at Sacramento State, and I always say it was God, you know, and the relationships that I was able to build in that town and with those players that was there. I was just able to move in, and I was able to get the position as the head coach when he took the job at Sacramento State. I also say it was a testament to system basketball because those kids at the time, it would have been very hard to bring another traditional coach in to take over that program who didn't have any idea what system basketball is. And that group was it was 8 seniors on that team that year, and they was going to be pretty good no matter what style they played. But it was just a smooth transition, and we was able to come in and have an excellent year.
So
I know I said a lot right there, Coach.
you're good. You're good. Other than Bunky, obviously, who's helped mentor you, or people that you've looked to for on your philosophy of basketball, how you like to teach it? Any other influences?
Uh, yeah, it goes back to first. I always say it goes back to high school. I think I was fortunate enough to play for one of the premier programs in Kentucky, and I still think they're one of the top-notch programs still to today. Whenever you have a high school coaching staff that's been together for over 35 years, you're going to learn something there.
Yeah.
And that was Pleasure Ridge Park. PRP is what we called it out of Louisville, Kentucky. I think that's kind of where it started. Not coaching. I had no desires to be a coach as a kid growing up. But they was definitely from Coach Kinley to Dale Mabry to Mike Baxter. Those were some of the guys that definitely was huge as far as my development as far as a basketball player, as well as some people, some side people that I always like to give credit for. Just some helpers. Donnie Studdard, and we called him Mr. D. He was a huge influence, just getting us back and forth to practice during that time. And he those people, those four people right there was huge in just my development as just a young man. Also, I would always say my college coach that actually recruited me, his name was Roland Ware-Willie. He was NAIA Hall of Fame coach at Berea. He coached at Berea forever until he retired. And he was huge, and I say he was huge just for a simple fact. He old school coach, Bobby Knight style. We weren't running no system with him. It was move the basketball, get great passes, play great defense, sit down, guard your man, take the open shot. And so he was the one that actually recruited me to Berea. I always will respect him. May he rest in peace. And then he ended up leaving going into my junior year, and then John Mills, who took over the program at Berea, and he's another guy that I he's like a father figure to me till this day, and that's who I finished my playing career playing for. He is now coaching at Alice Lloyd, an NAIA school in Kentucky, coaching women's basketball. But he's someone that I look up to daily and always reach out to for advice and things of that nature. So it's and that's only a few, and I'm just talking about coaching family, and those are some of the guys that I still rely on till today. As far as my kind of the philosophy and kind of what I believe in, it goes back to Bunky Harker-Rowe and just because of how I came into the game, and it's just it's kind of all I know, from a coaching standpoint. But I like to play fast. I think especially for the women's game, it's more exciting, more entertaining. I think it's funner to watch. I think it gets more people into the stands, and so it's. But that's my opinion, and people is gonna definitely they disagree with it, especially those traditional coaches. But that's just kind of where I'm at.
I hate that traditional and system. I'm starting to not like it. It's like it's you know what I'm talking about. So Coach,
I do.
how would you define? What would be your definition if somebody came up to you and said, "What is this system basketball stuff?" How would you define it to them?
It's for me. It's up tempo, fast pace, it excitement. That's really how I would describe it. I don't think again. I'm not a man of many words. It's not nothing. It doesn't have to be fancy. I like it because it lets kids play their game at the end of the day, and just let them play basketball. And like I was telling you the other day, and I don't know if you remember or not, but I'm a guy that grew up playing ball in the parks, and I think kids don't get that opportunity anymore, and so it that's where you really learn how to play basketball, in my opinion. So it kind of brings that element back. So it goes back for me. It goes back. I've always kind of played fast, even in high school. So it's kind of second nature, really. For me, it didn't change until I got to college and played for Coach World Willie.
Got it. So, what advice would you give to a coach that wants to seek out and run the system? Any good advice that you might have, or things that I mean, you were awkward with the situation. You were kind of born into it coaching, so you didn't just say, "Hey, I'm gonna run the system." Um,
Yeah.
so, do you have any advice for the people that have been a traditional coach that are gonna go run the system?
Yeah, now I would say, and I think just with experience and doing it, because I've had to make some adjustments over the last few years. Um, the main thing is make if this is a way you're really trying to play, and you want to, and this is something you really want to do. You can't be afraid to allow your kids to make mistakes, and you can't be afraid to give up layups. You can't be afraid of what people are going to say about you. You got to go with your gut. You got to go with your heart, and you got to go with what you believe in at the end of the day. And really, that's it. I'm a guy. I could care less what people think about me. If you don't like how things are going, it there's the door. You don't have to just say stuff to appease me. I'm just not that type of guy. I'm straight up. You're going. What I say is what I mean, and it's. But for people that are trying to run the system, my biggest advice is do your research, do your homework, but you can't be afraid of what other people think is probably the biggest thing, and
Okay.
stick with your guns.
So, how do you get the buy-in from your admin? Obviously, I assume they knew you were a system coach when they hired you at West Virginia State, but you took over a program. What was it, 4 years ago at West Virginia State?
Yeah.
Your fifth
Hmm.
year.
Yeah.
So you do a PowerPoint? Do you just talk to them about the system? I mean, you've been there now long enough, so they should have an idea what they're getting into when you're recruiting them. So how do you get the buy-in?
Yeah, from players or from the administration?
We'll go with players first.
From the players, I try to break it down from I put everything on the board. I'm not a huge PowerPoint guy. I write everything down. Probably a little too old school. I probably do need to put a little PowerPoint together, but I just break it down from a standpoint of for this system, for my system philosophies on what we're trying to accomplish, and we just go over that. Um, and we try to keep it simple. Don't make it too much. I think simple is better. Uh, just for the kids, when I'm recruiting players, I tell them we don't have a huge playbook. I don't believe in having a thick manual as a playbook. I think you guys I always tell our players, you got other things to worry about, from schoolwork to to making sure you're doing what you need to be doing to pass your classes. It's life after basketball. You can't play basketball forever. So, I just I don't believe in making them memorize 25 plays when it doesn't take all of that. Most basketball games are won off of effort and hustle at the end of the day. Yeah, you got to have talent, but if you're playing with effort and hustle, that's gonna outwork. That's gonna beat out talent, in my opinion. But we just break it down from on the board and just put everything down and just kind of talk about it, walk through it. Put the game goals up, what we're trying to do from a game goal standpoint, and just break that down. It's just keep it simple.
Did you have to do anything with your admin, or were they already know that you were a assistant?
No, and again, let's go back to, for me, I think my whole career from a coach has been unique. They knew the type of coach I was before I came in. So I didn't really have to do that, breaking it down to them on what we're going to do. So I've been blessed in that regards, and got a very supportive administration. So we're where we need to be, and I do think we're on track. It's not where I want to be, but I do think we're on track.
Would you consider you and your program a system purist, where you're kind of like the Grinnells and the Olivettes, where you're doing the 5 in, 5 out, and you're doing systematic formula, or do you kind of hybrid it?
Yes, I am a system guy, in and out. I have had to adjust more these past couple years, but yeah, we even with having to adjust, I'm still 5 in, 5 out. I typically like to have two strong groups. If I could have a third group, I'll play a third group. But we want to sub and keep the subs on a minute 30, getting them in and out, and trying to the whole philosophy for us to try to wear the other opponent down and get our game goals is the biggest thing.
So you said a minute 30. Do you like to send them out to the table at a minute 30, or way before that? When do you send them to the table? Your next group of
We
five?
send them to the table at a minute.
At a minute. Okay.
We send them at a minute. I lost you there for a second. Did you?
Yeah, the internet kind of went out for a second. We're good. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can.
Okay.
It just froze.
Yeah.
But yeah, we try to get them in on a minute 30, and sometimes rotations is gonna go longer than others, but we send the next group up at a minute.
How much? We were talking the other day, and you kind of do your system goals a little different, though, right? You're not the traditional 5 goals that everybody else uses. You just
Yeah,
you do,
and I've added just over the years, and once you do something, you kind of tweak it and you try to make it fit your style. I don't do some of the things that initially that we did when we was at Berea and when we was at Glenville. I've adjusted a lot of stuff since then over the years. But now our goals is we want to get up try to get up 100 shots. We want to be able to get up 45 threes. We want to be able to get 35% of our own offensive rebounds. We want to force the other team into 30 turnovers, while we only commit 12, no more than 12. We want to be able to get 21 plus assists. We want to stay out of the double bonus. So, that's huge for system teams, because we're not stopping that clock. We're keeping that flow of the game, the pace, trying to keep the pace at our speed. And we want to get 80% of our free throws. So those are my system game goals, and that's what we try to strive for every game. It doesn't matter who we playing, any given night. It doesn't matter if we're, in the championship or in a playoff game. Those are the goals that we want to try to get.
So what offensive system are you usually employing to try to get your 45 threes?
Well, I tell our kids that we want to try to score everything within our fast break. And I have adjusted our fast break over the years. We did the traditional Grinnell double screen, the rundown. You have your primary, secondary, come off curl fade, point guard come up the right side of the court. I have adjusted that and made it more of an open fast break. Where whoever gets the rebound now, we getting it and pushing it, trying to get our shooters to the corners. We added a rim runner, and just trying to get out quicker. Still with certain options that we still give the kids certain options that pass it here first. If we can get it up, as soon as we get it, if we can get it a layup, we take the layup. If we can get it up to the corner for a shot. In the corner for a three, we'll take it. So the fast break that we run, two shooters to the corner, two handlers, and a rim runner is basically what it is. And we trying to create numbers, get two on ones, 3-on-2, fast break opportunities, and trying to score the basketball within 12 seconds of the shot clock. If that doesn't happen, then we go into our 5-out motion, Villanova motion offense, number cuts, and we keep it simple. I'm either calling a 1 cut, a 2 cut, 3 cut, basket cut, curl cut, and play basketball. And if you got a shot, you take it. If you can beat your man off the dribble, you beat your man off the dribble and get to the basket. Penetrating, kick, draw 2. Huh?
Coach Peretta from Villanova, correct?
Yeah, that's it. And we try to perfect that and be as good as we can be at that. Another thing that I probably harp on more than anything is crashing the offensive boards, because if you're shooting the ball as much as I want us to shoot it, we got to be able to get offensive rebounds and that's probably one of the biggest things that for system teams is you got to understand how to rebound the basketball and how to your kids got to understand that and know how to go get it.
Yeah. So I've gone to 5-out the last few years too, and
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I've noticed, I wasn't running system, but when you shot the basketball, kids would stand.
Yes.
And did you notice when you went 5-out as opposed to running the traditional Grinnell double staggered off, send the guy through, that was harder to get your 8 feet in the paint and
Mm-hmm.
do your wedge technique and all that stuff to offensive rebound? So is it just harping and having somebody in charge of that to make sure people are going the boards to? Because I just see 5 kids around the perimeter, kid shoots it, you got nobody near the basket unless someone was, obviously there's probably somebody cutting, but
Yep. And it's a mindset, and you got to teach it. You got to harp on it. You got to put consequences in. They got to understand that it's a priority. You got to figure out ways to reward them for getting offensive rebounds. It has to be a benefit to the players for them to do the dirty work, because that's what it is. And you just usually you have that one Dennis Rodman who loves to do that stuff, but in system basketball, everybody has to be that Dennis Rodman, in my opinion, especially on the offensive end when you're crashing the boards. They just got to be hungry and have a nose for the basketball, and that's hard to teach. And you just got to drill it. And we work on rebounding drills constantly on just game like rebounds, situations where we take a quick shot and we have everybody crash the boards to try to put ourselves in game-like situations. So we have different drills that we do to try to work on that. And it's about toughness too. a lot of kids are not that tough nowadays. So you got to try to build it, and just you just got to put that mindset in them that they can do it. They can't be afraid to get bumped and bump somebody. So you got to be a little physical, and you can't get upset when somebody does get physical and they get offensive foul.
So let's turn to the defensive side. We had you on Friday. We were doing, a couple Fridays ago, we were watching West Virginia State basketball, and you came on and showed a game. And I know you were shorthanded on the game that you showed us, but are you traditional with pretty much the on press, putting someone on the ball?
Yeah, we call ours hot and cold.
Like it.
Hot hot is we all out. We take the inbounder away. Cold is we're not taking the inbounder away. And it's no secret. Everybody knows what we're doing. I always say you got to be able to just play hard, and that's what I try to get our kids to do. Even if they make a mistake, just make up for it by playing hard and trying to be in the right spots. And I know we're not going to always. And I tell my kids, I understand you're not going to always be in the right spots. And you're going to miss opportunities to steal the basketball, but you got to try your best, and you got to give more effort than you would anytime else. And the way we try to sell that is, you give me everything you got for that short period of time, then you come out and you get a break and you go back in and you do it again. But I think one of the things that we do and that's probably the biggest hurdle that we have in the beginning, teaching new kids when we get them into our program, is the defensive philosophy, because it is so different. Because we're telling kids to overplay and cheat and gamble, try to shoot gaps every time, and when kids are been taught their whole life to go out, chop their feet, high hands, don't get beat on penetration. When the way I'm teaching it, I'm telling you to go out, close out on the high side, force them to the baseline side, and then you make your rotation out on the 3-point line. If they go, they go. And you make the next rotation to try to keep the other team from getting a 3 off. If one thing that I tell our girls is, if we give up a mid-range shot, that's on me. Your job is to either get the rebound. If they make it, then you take it out and we get it. We go down and try to score.
So, Coach, I think it's going to be my first year, and I think there's an art to creating your shifts, like putting your groups together. What do you looking for, like in your groups? Are you looking for to certain personnel groupings? Are you looking to, or just kids that fit well together? How are you putting your shifts together?
It's a balance. We always try to have somebody that can score the basketball. I always try to have a solid PG and a solid post. Those are the things that I think really make the system go. And then on the other two spots, they can be bonuses. You can add another scorer, a kid that's just going to do the dirty work. But I think the key is you got to have a really good point guard. You got to have a kid that can put the ball in the hole, and you got to have a solid post for the way we do it. I think that's one of the main things for it to be successful when you're doing your groups. And I've toyed around and tried to do different things. I've had a point to where we wanted to make sure we got our best players at least 24 minutes. Based off of who our best player is, no matter how we're shifting it. This kid is going to be our best player. This kid needs to be playing at least 24, 25 minutes a game, no matter how the rotations may happen. Uh, and that's where I think you got to have an assistant coach who understands system, who understands rotations. Because as the head coach, you can't I can't track it. And we map it out before the game. We have a rotation sheet that we use, and we chart it out for the first half and second half. So and what where your assistant has to be good is when you get in foul trouble. How you going to adjust and who you going to plug in, and sometimes you got to have those different lineups already in your head, and sometimes it depending on, for me, always, if a kid is screwing up several times, and say my right wing is screwing up, I may say get that kid out of there and just and pull a kid on the bench and say get to the table. So that throws your system, your rotation pattern off. So if you don't have a good assistant that can get it back on track, that can mess you up as well. I know those were some of the things that we've had some issues with since we've been doing this.
So if you were doing this in high school, what do you think would be the ideal number of kids to have on your roster?
At least
Because
at
we're
least
playing only
16.
32 minutes, so our game's shorter.
I still say you got to have at least 16.
16. Okay.
Yeah, and
For
we
playing purposes or practice purposes?
both, and it's, again, it still comes down to how many you're wanting to play. Uh, when I'm recruiting, I tell our kids that, and we're gonna have 18 on our roster this year, and that's not a typical college roster. Uh,
The
and
typical D3 roster.
yeah, and what I tell our kids when we're recruiting them, everybody's gonna have an opportunity to play. Now it's gonna be determined on you on how much opportunity you continue to get to play. But you come here, you definitely will have an opportunity to play, and producing and measuring up is one of my huge sayings that we say every day. You got to measure up. You got to measure up, and those are the things that kids, tend to gravitate to, and because they want to be successful, they want to try to prove you wrong, and they want to play. So they're going to give you everything they got for the most part, especially if they buy in and they believe in what you're trying to do.
So in a high school setting of 16, would you do three groups of five, or would you maybe put them in two groups of eight?
I would do 3 groups of 5. And if you got it, you still gotta you still gotta be able to put a competitive group out there that can make plays and put points on the boards and force turnovers. But sometimes, that third group, it may not necessarily be your strongest group out of the two, but what it can do is give your other two groups a little bit more time to catch their breath and kind of recuperate so that they can go back in and play a little bit harder. Uh, one thing that I did when I did have a solid 3 groups. The third group wasn't that talented, but uh, we was able to put them in and just tell them to play hard, and they didn't hurt you. They didn't hurt you, and then that's what you would, from a high school setting. If you don't think a third group can hurt you, then I say go for it. Because it keeps them motivated, it keeps them energetic in practice, because typically you have that 15th or 16th player that never steps on the court, and they know they're not going to step on the court. It keeps that kid energetic. I played college ball with a guy named is Donnie Hunley. He one of the we called him Rudy, is what we called him. One of the hardest working guys I, you would ever meet, and guy didn't get to play a lick of time, but a system team, that guy would have flourished in a system style because of how hard he played. Because more than likely, he played harder than everybody than your average player. And I think it keeps those guys involved and energetic and about the team. And the reason why I bring him up is because even though he didn't get to play, he was still probably our best teammate, best bench person that we had, and still to this day that I've ever really been around. So it's hard when you have those type of people don't come around too often is what I'm getting at, and that's why another reason why I think system basketball helps a lot of kids get opportunity to play.
I think you might have said this one, but what's the hardest part for when you're installing the system, in your opinion?
The defensive side, and because again, where kids, if it's not flowing and it's not going well, and you're not getting the stops and you're not scoring, they're not gonna believe in it, and they're gonna be like, man, this ain't working. This is dumb. Why are we doing it? That's when the questions start to come into play, and that's why it's very, very important that you get them to believe in that philosophy of the defensive side more than the offensive side, because that's where and the reason I think the reason why that's the hardest is because on the defensive side it doesn't take a whole lot of thinking. It just takes effort, and a lot of kids don't want to play with the effort that system basketball requires for it to be successful.
So, what are some of the misconceptions of system basketball that you have to overcome when you're recruiting a player?
You don't play any defense, and you
No.
give up and you give up layups. That's probably the biggest
Would that
thing
be
that we.
biggest criticism too, or
Yeah, I would say, and the thing that I always would combat to that is, and I think this is, I haven't really been able to do it, is, look at my record, and that's what I would always kind of go back to. Right now, it's hard for me to say it because we're still in that building process, to try to get it flowing to where, I know it can be, and where I know that that it can work. So that's probably the biggest conception of it. Really, is you don't play any defense, in my opinion.
so? So, how do you guys do your practices? Are you typical system team where you pick a theme for the day, or do you kind of touch on everything? How do you do it?
We kind of we always hit on ball handling. We always hit on shooting, and then we scrimmage, man. I think system teams they gotta get comfortable and get used to playing at a fast pace, and the only way you're gonna get good is you got to put them in situations that they're going to be in games. So we try to simulate those different scenarios and different systems. And one thing I try not to do is I try not to stop it a whole lot, so that they can get it down and figure it out. And in the beginning, it's a lot of stopping because you got to put them in the positions that they're supposed to be in. But you got to let them make mistakes too, and then you just got to go back and review it and show them what they did wrong. Is the that's basically how we run our practices. Nothing fancy. We keep it upbeat, up tempo. We don't spend a whole lot of time on we don't get any water breaks. I'll say that. I tell our kids, you break in between drills on your own, and you hop right back in. I typically like for us to have water bottles on the side, so As they're standing around in between, they just pick it up and they take a drink. I think that helps you out, and it doesn't. You don't have several stoppages throughout practices.
Probably trains them for the game when they're coming off the court, getting their quick drink of water, and then
Yep.
go back in anyways. So
Yep. Yep. And I think conditioning is another huge component of system basketball on how you can train your and conditioning your kids to play this way as well.
do you do
Uh,
track work or do you just do it all on court?
we do both. We mix it up. We do a lot of circuit type training, from burpees, uh, from sprints, to uh, mountain climbers, push-ups, and things of that nature. Body weight exercises, quick feet, box jumps, and so we try to just keep it. But we do everything. Most of our circuit stuff is on a minute 30 because I'm training that mind to be able to give me everything you got for that time, and then you get that break, and then we do it again. So that's a huge component, and I think it makes them mentally tough. The play system basketball, I think you got to get them mentally tough and get them strong, their mind strong. Not so much their body strong. I just think their minds got to be strong, and they got to be able to understand that they can do more than what their body is telling them.
D2 level, under normal circumstances, when do you guys are allowed to get on the court to start? Like how many practices do you get in before you have a scrimmage or an exhibition?
Well, with in pre-COVID era,
Yeah, normal time.
uh, yeah, we kind of upside down right now. But the way we do our preseason routine is, I give our kids the first 2 weeks once they get to campus. I give them that first 2 weeks to get adjusted to college life, get situated with a classroom, get their dorm situation together. If there's any parties, get the partying out early. And that's what I tell our girls, man. If you're gonna party, go ahead and party within these 2 weeks. Get that out.
And
And
you're
yeah,
gonna
I understand this.
party with Wilson, right?
Yeah, I understand this is college. I've been there. I get it. And so, I give them that first 2 weeks just to get acclimated to college life, and then we hit it hard. For us, we have 8 hours that we're allowed to spend with them up until October 15th, which is typically first official practice for us. And then after that, October 15th, then we have a lot of 20 hours that we're able to work with our players for practice. If you want to do individual workouts, you can, or just how you structure it. But for when we get to that October 15th period, uh, we keep it in the beginning. We do usually go a little bit longer from practice standpoint. And then I like to back it off. Even though we have 20 hours, I hardly ever use the whole 20 hours. I want our practices to be no longer than an hour, 30 minutes, but precise and on point to what we're trying to do. Get them in and get them out is my motto. And that's what we try to do.
Like it, get them out, get them in, get them out, get them better, go home.
Yep, yep. Nowadays, I just don't think kids they don't want to be in the gym for no 3 hours.
Interesting
Trying to.
say that, Coach, because
Huh?
last couple years, I'd have like 2 hour practices.
Yeah.
I'd notice me and my blood pressure and
You
anxiety.
see all this gray, don't you?
Look right here. It's coming in the beard. I grant that to my team and my daughter. So I joke to my daughter. Anyways, is I started only going an hour and 30, and I've been coaching
Yeah.
for because the last 30 minutes were crap,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I go home frustrated, angry,
Yep.
or I just have the worst attitude for the last 30 minutes of practice.
Yep.
They couldn't focus or whatever the case may be. Um,
Nope.
but when we would go an hour and 15, hour 30, we would be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I started there for a while. I would say like first 30 minutes was first quarter, an hour was halftime.
Mm-hmm.
We took a break.
Mm-hmm.
Then I try to reconvene for 30-30
Mm-hmm.
and, and split it into quarters. It's kind of how I was doing practices and give them like a minute after 30 for your quarter break.
Mm-hmm.
Halftime gave them 5-6 minutes or whatever to do whatever, and then we reconvened. But that's part of the realm of me going system is practice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't enjoyed it the last 4 years. It's
Yeah.
um, are you doing the traditional 100 threes? Or you how many threes do you think you're getting up in practice?
Yeah. That's the first thing we tell our kids before we even start stretching. Uh,
Okay, you doing
as
the
they coming into the gym, it ain't no talking. It ain't no seeing how your friend's day was, your teammates' day was. They post as soon as they walk in the gym, they post start getting their 100 threes up.
is that
Uh,
part of your hour and a half, or is that not considered practice?
that's not considered practice.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
And then if they get that done uh, before and because and we're on a time schedule anyway because of classes and things. So some of them may be coming in late from class or just getting there, depending on how their classes are set up. Um, but that's the if they get it done, great. If they don't get it done, they gotta finish it at the end of practice or come back and do it. Is what I tell them. But that is a huge component for us. They got to get those 100 threes in before practice.
So, how's recruiting been during COVID? I mean, has it been tough? Been doing virtual? What I mean, how did you get it done?
I did a lot of virtual stuff, man. I use my iPhone, and
Technology, man, it's wonderful.
it is technology.
I mean, shoot,
So
I'm in California, you're in West Virginia, and we're having a podcast right now. So,
I've done more Zoom calls than I ever thought I would.
I've learned technology, if anything, during COVID, me personally. So, um, again, this is just so ironic. Me and Coach Marshall just started talking about a month ago, and his mom and myself just celebrated a birthday yesterday. So we'll be linked the rest of my life that I'll be
Yeah.
thinking every day that it's my birthday. I'm like, oh, it's Coach Marshall's mom's birthday. And the other ironic thing is, a few weeks ago, I had Jordan Fee from Nova Southeastern,
Uh-huh.
the assistant coach.
Hmm.
It was his birthday yesterday too. So it's just such a small
Yeah.
world. So that gets me to the more COVID stuff. Is there anything new that you've learned during COVID, system related or outside of it, that you're going to take back to your program to maybe put in?
Yeah. One thing that when I and thanks to this group really, uh, one thing that I'm definitely going to change and when Coach A was on the call when we had
A couple
that
weeks ago.
first a couple weeks ago, yeah, how he talked about pregame warm up. I was always a guy that wanted my kids to kill themselves, make sure they get a good sweat.
Yeah,
That whole philosophy now is gone
yeah.
because that is a great point. You trying to tell your kids to come with energy and play extremely hard, but I'm killing them in warm ups. So I'm definitely going to knock our warm up time down in half. I would always tell our kids to go out an hour before and start, and I would bring them in about 15 minutes before actual tip off to go to kind of review the game plan again, and that's all changing. And I think that would definitely help keep us energized and be ready to play. And I like the fact that he didn't have any shoot arounds on day of games. That's something that I'm probably going to adopt as well. So when you say, have I learned something and I'm going to take something away during this COVID time? Yes, I definitely am.
I think we all have gotten quite a few things, but if you can pick one or two, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So what's the outlook look like for you guys for next season, God willing that you get to play?
Right now we're we're still on schedule. Our classes are supposed to we start school August 10th. Move in. They got move in planned. They got a special way for the kids to move in the week
Got your own
before.
bubble?
Yeah, sort of. So I think our university has put out a great plan, a reopening plan. So I'm excited. I'm optimistic, but I'm excited about us moving forward. As of right now, anything could happen, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, and I know I talk to our players all the time, and they want to play, but we have to make sure we're safe, man. My wife is a nurse,
Mhm.
and she's adamant, about
Uh,
protecting ourselves.
what are your thoughts about the squad and the girls you got coming in next year? You're excited for it? You think you're gonna make some strides this year? And
I think as all coaches, we say this every year. We think we're gonna be good. We think we're gonna be. We got the team this year. I'm hesitant on saying that. Because it hasn't gone the way I would like for it to go. I will say for the first time since I've been here at West Virginia State, we have a good core coming back who has gone through the fire, so they know what to expect. They know how I am and what I'm expecting. So it's I, I'm excited. I'm really excited about what we got coming, our returners, and I'm also excited about the new kids that we're bringing in, who I think can really add something to the kids that we got coming back.
sounds good, Coach. I know you've been working hard, and it had to been tough during COVID to get it done and put your class together. I'm sure you're already starting on 2021s, and must be tough with no one being able to play. We just got news today. We're already ahead of the game, and they put a plan in California. They moved. Football is going to begin in January, so
Mm-hmm.
your traditional fall sports will move to the winter time frame, and they're moving some spring sports to there, and they've lumped the spring and winter sports together into one season. So they did 2 seasons of sports
Mm-hmm.
for 3 traditional seasons in high school, and to allow everybody to keep the same amount of games. They didn't cut back our games, but basketball in California became a spring sport today.
Yeah.
So we are March 12th is our tip off. So
Well, hey,
my joke is, am I going to be able to wear shorts and a polo like they do like in the AAU circuit? So because it's nice in March in California, obviously, but
yeah.
depending on if gyms have an air conditioner or not have an air conditioner, it could be a little warm in there. So
Hey, at least you got a tip off, baby.
you got a plan.
You
Uh,
got a plan.
and I'm not going to knock the plan too much because we're a high school organization.
You're right.
We have CIF in California has more of a plan than the NCAA right now.
Yeah. No.
So,
Hey, no comment, coach.
I know you can't elaborate, but I, so um, I just want to thank you, Coach. We formed a pretty good relationship offline, and I just want to wish you luck, safe health to you, your family, your mom, and your whole program, and wish you guys the best of luck next season.
Man, I appreciate you, brother, and same to you and your family as well. And good luck to you guys.
And I'm sure I'll see you some point this week on a Zoom
You,
call.
you will.
All right, man.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
All right. I'm Mark Hart. That was Coach Marshall. We appreciate you joining this edition of the System Zoomcast. We are available on. Please follow us on Twitter at System Hoops, at Instagram System Hoops, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at System Basketball. We'll see you on the next Zoomcast or clinic. Coach Hart. This has been Coach Hart with System Basketball. Thank you guys, and have a great evening.